The night before our wedding, I overheard my fiancée tell her sister, "I'm bleeding him dry after the honeymoon." Her sister laughed, "Don't forget the house." I said nothing. For 2 months I planned. Then in court, I ended it all. She never saw it coming. Hello Reddit I+ here. I 32M was with my now ex-wife, Hannah, 31F, for 4 years before we got married. On the surface, we had a solid relationship. We weren't perfect, but we had plans, routines, dreams. She talked a lot about building a future together, opening a boutique, buying land someday, even having kids. I bought in, completely. She was funny, smart, ambitious, and honestly one of the most charming people I'd ever met. I now know that charm was just a tool. Our wedding was supposed to be small and elegant, an intimate venue in the countryside with close family and friends. We booked out a beautiful rustic inn with gardens, an orchard, and a stunning courtyard. That setting is now burned into my brain for all the wrong reasons. The night before the wedding, I'd left my phone out in the garden while I was helping Hannah's dad bring in supplies. I went back to grab it and took a shortcut around a hedge wall. That's when I heard her voice. She was just on the other side of the bushes talking to her sister Mandy, 28F. I remember her exact words. "I'm bleeding him dry after the honeymoon." Her sister laughed and said, "Don't forget the house." And then, as if that wasn't enough to knock the breath out of me, Hannah replied, "Oh, don't worry. Once my name's on that deed, it's game over. He'll be too stupid in love to notice anyway." They laughed. Then something about making sure I kept paying for Mandy's car repairs and maybe helping her get a loan using my credit score. I stood there like a ghost, frozen behind the hedge. I remember feeling physically sick, like my blood had gone cold. For a moment, I actually tried to tell myself maybe I misheard, or maybe it was some kind of horrible inside joke. But no, it was real, and it was deliberate. I didn't confront her that night. I walked back to the room, stared at myself in the mirror for a long time, and then made a decision. I was still going to marry her, but not because I forgave her, because I was going to ruin her. Now, I want to be clear. I wasn't after vengeance just for the sake of it. I wasn't going to go all scorched earth because I was angry. But something inside me snapped that night. I realized the woman I loved, the woman I was about to marry, never existed. And the Hannah I was marrying saw me as nothing more than a meal ticket. So I needed time. I needed a strategy. And if I blew up the wedding right then, I'd lose the upper hand. We got married the next day. I smiled through it, kissed her, played the loving husband, and over the next 2 months, I planned my exit. Behind the scenes, I started building a case. I quietly contacted a family law attorney, Kendra, an old friend who'd gone into legal work. I told her everything. She immediately advised me to start gathering evidence, so I did. Hannah had a bad habit of leaving her iPad synced to her phone, so I started checking it occasionally when she wasn't around. What I found confirmed everything, and then some. Texts between her and Mandy discussing how to get me to sign over the house. Screenshots of her flirting with some guy from her gym, saying she'd be free soon, once the money was in place. Voice memos of them mocking me, calling me predictable, easy to manipulate, and too nice for his own good. I also bought a tiny audio recorder and started keeping it in my jacket. Every now and then, I'd forget my coat in rooms she used for calls or conversations. I got recordings of her talking to friends about what she deserved and how she wasn't going to struggle with some middle-class marriage forever. I kept everything. Meanwhile, I fed her rope. I told her I was considering liquidating some of my 401k to help her expand her boutique. I let her think I was working on adding her to the deed of the house. I even agreed to meet with a financial advisor for our future. The whole time I was smiling. She thought she was winning. Then came the breaking point. She asked me to co-sign on a $40,000 loan for Mandy. Said it was just to get her back on her feet. I told her I needed a few days to think about it. Instead, I called my lawyer and gave her the green light to file. We didn't just file for divorce. We filed for annulment on grounds of fraud. The evidence was overwhelming. The recordings, the texts, the financial manipulation, it was all there. Kendra said it was one of the most well-documented cases she'd seen. We also pushed for a public hearing instead of private mediation. And that's when it hit the fan. When Hannah got served, she came home screaming. I'd never seen her that angry. She accused me of ambushing her, gaslighting her, and being a coward. I didn't say much. Just told her everything she'd done was documented, and I wasn't going to let her steal another cent from me. She lawyered up fast. Brought in some aggressive divorce attorney who tried to intimidate us into settling. They demanded spousal support, half the house, and that I cover her legal fees, due to the emotional distress I caused her. But when we got to court, everything unraveled. We presented all of it. Every message, every voice memo, every deceitful plan she made with her sister. Mandy was even subpoenaed and had to testify. She tried to lie at first, but cracked when confronted with the recordings. The judge was clearly disgusted. Hannah just sat there, watching it all fall apart, watching the version of her she'd crafted so carefully dissolve right in front of her. In the end, the marriage was annulled. She got nothing. No spousal support, no claim to the house, no part of my retirement, and no help with her legal bills. Just a record showing she entered a marriage in bad faith, and a courtroom full of people who saw exactly who she was. She tried to message me once after, just a single line. "How could you do this to me?" I never responded. After the court ruling, Hannah moved out of the house within a week, though not without drama. She showed up drunk one night with Mandy, pounding on my door and yelling about how I ruined her life. I didn't open the door. I just called the cops and told them my ex-wife was trespassing. She left before they arrived, but that was the last time I saw her in person. I changed all the locks the next day. She ended up crashing at Mandy's place for a while. But I heard through mutual acquaintances that even that blew up. Apparently Hannah tried to shift the blame onto Mandy, claimed her sister encouraged everything, and set her up to fail. Mandy didn't take that well. From what I gathered, they don't speak anymore. Honestly, I don't think either of them can stand looking in the mirror right now. Here's the wild part. Hannah's mom reached out to me about a month after the annulment. She apologized, genuinely, and told me she had suspicions about her daughter's intentions but didn't want to believe them. She said she felt sick knowing what Hannah and Mandy had planned. We had a long talk over coffee. She was embarrassed, ashamed, and heartbroken, and she was angry at her own daughters. She told me she'd raise them better. I didn't know how to respond to that, honestly, but it did give me some weird sense of closure, like not everyone in their family was rotten to the core. As for my family, they were shocked. My parents had liked Hannah. My mom especially. She bonded with her over gardening and baking. When I told them the truth, they were silent for a full minute. My dad eventually just said, "I'd go to jail if someone said that about you in front of me." He wasn't kidding. Friends were complicated. Some mutual friends stayed neutral, but there were a couple who really showed their true colors. One of Hannah's bridesmaids, let's call her Lexi, actually sent me a 3-paragraph message calling me vindictive and petty, saying I should have just walked away instead of humiliating Hannah in court. Said I'd emotionally abused her by staying silent and planning behind her back. I didn't reply to that either, but you know what? That message was like a gift, because it helped me draw a line in the sand. Anyone who thinks exposing someone for trying to scam you out of your home, retirement, and identity is abuse doesn't deserve to be in my life. On the flip side, a few people reached out to say thank you. One guy I barely knew, he was a +1 at the wedding, DM'd me to say he went through something similar years ago, but didn't have the courage to fight back. Said reading my story made him feel a little less alone. That meant more than I expected. From what I've been told, Hannah tried to rebrand herself on Instagram. She went full self-care queen and posted inspirational quotes about healing, betrayal, and cutting off toxic people. Yeah, you read that right. She even made a post about how some men destroy things they can't control. She blocked me before I could see it directly, but screenshots made the rounds. A few people dragged her in the comments and then she went quiet. Mandy deleted all her accounts. Gone, vanished. The boutique she wanted to open never happened. I don't know if it's karma or credit issues or both, but she's not exactly thriving right now. Last I heard, she was back working retail, still trying to figure out how to bounce back. I'm not gloating, but I'm also not sorry. The house feels different now. For a while it was haunted. Every room felt like a memory I didn't trust anymore. I changed the paint, rearranged the furniture, and even knocked out a wall between the kitchen and dining room. Made it mine again. Made it honest again. Therapy helped too. I had a lot of anger I didn't even realize I was carrying. Not just toward Hannah, but toward myself. I felt stupid for not seeing it. For loving someone who was clearly using me. But my therapist helped me understand that being trusting isn't a flaw. It's the person who violates that trust who should feel ashamed, not the one who gave it. Dating? Not yet. I'm not in a rush. I want to be in a place where I'm excited about love again, not suspicious of it. But I will say this. I feel more at peace now than I have in years. And the man I see in the mirror again, he's got his spine back. If you're reading this and you're in a relationship that feels off, trust your gut. If someone shows you who they are, believe them. And if you ever catch someone plotting behind your back, you don't need to yell, you don't need to punch walls or throw their stuff out the window. Just get quiet. get calm, and start planning. Because there's no revenge quite like the truth, served legally, publicly, and with receipts. It's been almost a year since the annulment. Life's been calm. Peaceful, even. I'd redecorated the house, settled into a new routine, started working on myself. Mentally, physically, financially. Therapy was helping. I was getting better sleep, and for the first time in ages, I felt proud of the man I was becoming. And then, out of nowhere, Hannah came back. Not physically. Not at first. It started with an email. The subject line? Can we talk? The email. It was short. Too short. Almost like she didn't know what to say, or didn't really want to say anything meaningful. Hey, I've been doing a lot of thinking. I know I don't deserve your time, but I wanted to reach out and see if we could talk. Just once. I owe you an apology. Please. No love, no regret, no I messed up. Just cold, calculated, neutral. I sat with it for a day, then two. I wasn't sure what to do. Every instinct said, don't. But the part of me that craves closure, the part that still has questions, was curious. So I replied. We met at a quiet cafe downtown. I picked the place on purpose. Public, neutral, emotionally sterile. She walked in looking like a shadow of the woman I almost married. Makeup heavy, clothes trying too hard, smile uncertain. Her eyes were tired, fidgety. She sat across from me and looked like she might cry, but didn't. She didn't even say hello. Just blurted out, "You really made me look like a monster." I blinked. Excuse me? You embarrassed me. Publicly. That court stunt? Everyone thought I was some kind of gold-digging sociopath. I let out a short laugh, almost involuntarily. That's because you were. You literally said out loud that you were going to bleed me dry. She flinched. It was just a joke. I was drunk. You know Mandy. She says the worst stuff just to rile people up. And you were laughing, I reminded her. Not just laughing. You agreed. You talked about the house, about my money. You made a plan. Her eyes darted away. I was scared. I didn't know if you were the one. And Mandy got in my head. There it was. The old Hannah, incapable of taking real responsibility. Always someone else's fault. Always a reason, a context, a spin. I stayed quiet. That seemed to rattle her more than yelling would have. The real reason. Finally, after an awkward silence, she said it. I came to ask for a second chance. I just stared. I've been thinking about us. About how things ended. Maybe I made a mistake. I let my sister poison everything and I ruined the best relationship I ever had. I know you probably hate me, but I'd like to try again. If there's a part of you that's still… No, I said, cutting her off. Just like that. No, she echoed. No, Hannah, there's no part of me that still wants anything from you. She looked stunned. Like the idea of me turning her down wasn't even in her universe of possibilities. Do you have any idea, I said, what it took to rebuild after what you did? You nearly destroyed my trust in people. You left scars I had to dig out of myself one at a time. You almost ruined my life. And now, because your backup plans fell through, you think you can come back? She opened her mouth, but I raised a hand. Don't. I don't need your tears. I don't need your apologies. I don't hate you, Hannah. I pity you. But I've healed enough to know I won't invite poison back into my bloodstream just because it's crying. And with that, I got up and left. She didn't follow. About 2 weeks later, I got a call from an unknown number. I don't usually answer those, but something told me to pick up. It was Mandy. You were right about her, she said without preamble. I was stunned silent. She stole money from me. Thousands. Drained my business account when I was out of town. I came home and found out she'd been squatting in my condo with some guy she met on Tinder. I didn't say anything. I just wanted you to know, she continued. She always blamed you, said you overreacted, but after what she did to me, I get it now. I wish I had listened to you. I still didn't say anything. Anyway, I'm sorry, she whispered, and then she hung up. It's funny. I spent months preparing for revenge that was clean, quiet, and legal. And it worked. But the real revenge? Was living long enough to watch them destroy each other. I'm not angry anymore. I don't lie awake thinking about what she did. I don't flinch when people say her name. And I don't need closure, not really, because I learned that peace is its own ending. People ask if I'd ever date again. The answer is yes. But this time, I'm walking in with eyes wide open and a spine made of steel. And if she ever emails me again, that message will go straight to trash, just like she did.